sport we decided to do is soccer. We performed a series of 9 tests to a group of athletes aged between 11 and 15 to try and detect them from other sports to come into soccer. The first test we did was body mass index, and we found that by getting the height and the weight of both the athletes. To measure height, athletes put their feet together and move back so their heels touch the bottom of the stadiometer. You need to make sure that their head is aligned properly. Then ask the athletes to take a deep breath in and hold it while you lower the headboard until it is in contact with their head. Then take the measurement to the nearest 0.1 centimetre. To measure weight, have the athletes stand on the centre of the scales without support, with their arms loosely by their sides, with their head facing forward and with their weight distributed evenly on both feet. Take the reading to the nearest 0.1 kilograms. To measure BMI, you do weight in kilograms divided by height in metres squared. Height can be important for different positions in soccer, such as the goalkeeper, and weight provides an initial indication of body mass. Usually, lower the body mass is better for high performance in athletes and would be better for the fitness needed for soccer.
So with our athletes, the average of the female athletes, BMI is 21.7, with the weight being 57.2 kilos and 161.6 centimetres tall. And over here is our group, and then we have our top 5 athletes. So in our group we had one athlete that was above average in the BMI category.
The next test that we performed was skin folds. When measuring skin folds, this must be done on the right side of the body for reliability purposes. To measure it, fat is pinched between a 2-prong caliper on designated body sites. For females, it is on the tricep, suprailiac, and the thigh. Skin folds help to assess an athlete's body composition. Usually the lower the skin folds, the easier it is for athletes to move around and have a high fitness, which is always useful for soccer.
Another test that we conducted was vertical jump and running vertical jump. To test vertical jump, athletes stand side onto the vertex and reach up and with the hand closest to the vertex, ensuring their shoulders is fully extended upwards. Keeping the feet flat on the ground, the highest point reached is recorded to gain standing reach height. The athlete will then jump vertically as high as possible using both arms and legs to attempt to jump as high as they can, ensuring they knock the pains. The difference in the distance between the standing reach height and the jump reach height is the score. Athletes are instructed to jump as high as they can with the whole body. 3 attempts are allowed using the highest attempt. Running vertical jumps start 5 metres back from the vertex, running up with a straight line approach. The athlete then jumps vertically off their outside leg, reaching as high as they possibly can with their opposite hand. Each athlete should complete 2 jumps from each side. Vertical jump tests leg power. There is a strong correlation between vertical jump height and the horizontal jump distance and the sprint performance. Multiple sprints are needed to be performed during a soccer match. The results for the running vertical jump and the not vertical jump. We've got our running vertical jump graph here and our vertical jump. The average for the vertical jump was 37.4 centimetres, with top 5 going 50 centimetres, 47 centimetres, 46 centimetres, 2 athletes jumping 44 centimetres, and the 5th one 42 centimetres. In our group, one of our athletes jumped above average and placing in the top 5, jumping 47 centimetres, and the rest all jumping below average, jumping 37, 34, 27 and 25 centimetres. The running vertical jump average was 41.67 metres. The top 5 jumping 57 centimetres, 53 centimetres, 2 athletes jumping 50 centimetres, 49 centimetres, and 5 athletes jumped 47 centimetres. In our group, 3 athletes jumped above average, one girl in the top 5 jumping 53 and the other 2 jumping 42. And the other 2 athletes jumping below average, jumping for 32 and 27. The data we collected was relative. The AFL agility test is another test that we conducted on the day.
So with the agility test, you start from a stationary start. You're in an upright position with 1 foot on the line. Athletes must weave in and out of the cones or poles, whatever you're using on the day, without touching or knocking them over as quickly as possible from start to finish. And the time will start as soon as you move.
Ability to quickly change direction is important for soccer. It is performed without a ball, whilst keeping balance, strength, speed and body control.
Here we have the results for our agility test. The average on the day for all females that were tested was 8.12 seconds. Within the top 5 of the whole cohort, we had the girl that ran the fastest time at 7.43 seconds. We actually had 2 girls who ran that time. Second, we had 7.6 seconds. Third, we had 7.72 seconds, and that was 2 girls who also ran that time. Fourth, we have 7.75 seconds. And fifth, in the top 5, was 7.8 seconds. With our group in Group 1, we had one of our athletes that ran above average, running 7.9 seconds, and the rest of our athletes all ran below average. On the day we performed the tests, the weather wasn't very good as we had a lot of rain, which would have messed with the results a little bit. So it would have made it a bit harder to turn in the agility course as it was a bit slippery. So yeah, the results could be different from what they would usually be.
The next test we did was the 30-metre sprint.
Test. Athletes start in a crouch start position or a ready position, and they sprint as fast as they can for 30-metre sprints, making sure they don't decelerate before the final gate. Athletes are allowed 3 attempts with 2-minute breaks in between each.
Soccer players are required to continually produce short bursts of high intensity work throughout a 90-minute soccer game.
So over here we have our 30-minute sprint test. The average for all females on the day was 4.87 seconds. Over here we have our top 5 athletes. First, the quickest time was 4.22 seconds. The second quickest time was 4.39 seconds. Third quickest time was 4.4 seconds. The fourth quickest time was 4.8 seconds. And to round out the top 5 was 4.57 seconds. With our group, Group 1, one of our athletes ran above average, placed in the top 5, and her time was 4.22 seconds. And the rest of our athletes ran below average.
On the day, the 30-metre sprint was also affected by the weather as it was raining, so the time gates were taken away, so we were only able to measure the full 30-metre sprint and not the 5, 10 and 20-metre intervals.
We also performed 2 flexibility tests. We performed the Thomas test and the straight leg test. The more flexible the athlete is, the less likely they are to become injured. And being flexible also helps athletes to move freely around the ground.
The first flexibility test we performed was a Thomas test. This is where the athlete sits at the end of the table, then rolls back onto the table while putting both knees to their chest. The athlete then holds the opposite hip as close as they can to their chest, holding it up with their arms, while the other leg is lowered towards the floor. You do it for each side of the body, and 2 angles are measured, the angle of hip flexion and knee flexion. The flexibility test that we did was a straight leg test. This is where the athletes are to lay straight on their backs on the floor or on a table. The athlete then raises one leg, which is fully extended, as far as they can towards their face, while the other leg remains extended on the floor, and then you repeat it for both legs.
Conducted the sport competition anxiety test. The sport competition anxiety test analyses an athlete's responses to a series of statements about how they feel in a competitive situation. From these results, it is possible to determine a measure of their level of anxiety. As soccer is a very high intensity competitive game, so coaches need to be able to see how athletes respond in a game sense. However, we are not able to interpret the results. The results must be interpreted by a psychologist.
The last test that we did on the day was the beep test. The beep test involves running a 20-metre distance at a certain pace. Pace progressively increases during the stages. The beep test is a way of testing VO2 max. During a soccer game, players must need to maintain a high intensity throughout the 90-minute game.
So over here we have our beep test. The average on the day for the females that were tested was 6.7. The top 5, which is over here, the best scores on the day were 10.1, 8.8, 8.7, 8.6 and 8.1. With our group in Group 1 over here, 3 of our athletes ran above average and 2 of those athletes were placed in the top 5, running 8.8 and 8.1. And the 2 other athletes that we had in our group ran below average.
On the day the beep test was also affected by the weather, as it was raining through the whole test, so the athletes' clothes were quite heavy, making it harder for them to run the whole test. It was slippery and yep.
So the link between the talent ID protocol developed and the talent development models. So the max push-ups can be linked to the long-term athlete development model, specifically the train-to-train section, as it is a physical component. This section of the LTAD model is based around athletes aged 11 to 15 for girls and 12 to 16 for boys. In this early stage, athletes are ready to consolidate their basic skills and tactics. However, at this stage, need to focus more time on the skill component. This test can also be used in the F10 model, so more specifically the F2 stage of extension and refinement of movement. The focus on this level is to greater expose the athlete to movement challenges in order to progress further and refine their fundamental skills. The agility test is used as a fundamental movement skill specific to any sport, and in our case soccer. So this falls under the learn to train section of the long-term athlete development model. So this focuses on a more targeted area, for example in soccer, constant zigzagging and dodging players. So therefore the agility test is a specific protocol for talent ID in soccer. The agility test is also part of the F10 model. So sport-specific commitment phase refers to the beginning of club-based training. So for example, repeating the movements of a soccer player. The 30-metre sprint test is classified under the train-to-train component, as it is a critical part of developing the top athletes and maintaining activity in the long term. This is linked into the train-to-compete section of the long-term athlete development model. So as for long-term success, parents should be making sure that their child's train-to-train and train-to-compete ratio is about equal. So the F10 model also recognises this as a sport-specific commitment. So as soccer players and football players require sprints, therefore the 30-metre sprint test is part of the F3 stage of the F10 model. The beep test is a tool used everywhere from schools to sporting clubs. So the beep test is a fundamental component as it aims to develop basic skills, however continues to build that level of enjoyment throughout players. This is shown in the long-term athlete development model as a second component. The beep test is also linked to the F10 model as being part of the extension and refinement of movement phase, as it is greater challenge to athletes.
So overall we have decided to take one athlete as we thought she performed best throughout all the tests. She was above average in every category but one, and we feel that she has the most potential to make a big impact within the sport.